right, while we're talking about dating here, moving on. Abby, the things you love or things you hate about dating?
No, the things I love about being single.
Love.
So I've been called out on the show many a time about how I'm in a little bit of a desperate phase, or at least I'm sounding desperate. So when it comes to dating, I feel like it's a little bit of a roller coaster. There are moments where I'm like, screw dating. I don't really care. I'm going to be boy sober for the next year. And
sober. I think I like this.
And then I go into a valley of like, ooh, these nights is cold and lonely.
Nice, cold, lonely nights.
And Bumble starts to look like a nice space heater in the frozen tundra. And I'm like, maybe my soulmate's out there.
I just had the suggestion to do it for 1 week and you couldn't do it.
You said 30 days.
Was it?
During the most wonderful time of the year where there's Hallmark movies and people are falling in love. I mean, geez.
How long did you last, even on the suggestion of 30 days? It was like 3 hours.
I didn't try.
I didn't leave the studio.
0 hours.
I gotta go back to boy AA and be like, hi, I'm Abby. Been boy sober for 2 seconds. So because I was like, you know what? Maybe I am starting to sound a little bit desperate. And I realized as I was back on the dating apps and, swiping and looking for my soulmate, I'm like, maybe I need to take a step back and realize that I'm actually very grateful for being single, because I've been single pretty much my whole life. I mean, I've gone through phases where I've dated people for a period of time, but I've never really been in a committed relationship. And I'm like, I'm not really that bothered by it. I actually really enjoy being single. So I decided to list them all out. And we're going to do this in 2 parts, which honestly, I could have done it in 10 parts because I was going to make a list of 10 things I don't hate about being single, kind of like that rom-com, 10 things I hate about you. And I'm like, I could have literally done like a top 50 of all the things I enjoy about being alone. But we'll just narrow it down to 10. And these are my first 5. So my first one, and this was something I was really grateful for this weekend because I just went on a random trip to Gatlinburg with a new group of friends.
Bragger.
And it's great. I have so many friends that I just met this weekend.
He's talking about going to Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
It's bougie up in Gatlinburg. You can get really wasted for $5. And so I was just really grateful the entire time I was there. I was like, man, if I had a boyfriend, I don't think I could do a trip like this. There were some single guys on that trip. This was a new group of friends that I just got to hop on board with and hang out with. And I'm like, it wouldn't make sense to bring, again, another rando on this trip. And also, I couldn't go alone because there were single dudes that I was sharing a room with. I'm like, my boyfriend wouldn't be okay with that. But I got to go on this adventure that I never would have gone on otherwise. I got to see Pigeon Forge. What? Hell yeah. And I didn't have to get in a fight about whether or not, I didn't have to entertain somebody over text being like, I swear I'm not cheating on you, babe. I just got to go to Gatlinburg because I could. And I can make travel plans wherever I want to go. We were talking earlier today. Might be planning a trip to London next year. Do I need to ask anybody if they want to come with me? No, because I'm single.
Freedom.
Freedom. Okay, my next one is probably my favorite. I always get to eat what I want for dinner. Girl dinner is so real. And sometimes you just want some chicken sausage and popcorn for dinner. And you know what? I get to do that because I don't have to share a meal space with anybody. I don't have to cook dinner for another person and ask, what do you want? No, I don't want that. I get to just snack throughout the day if I want. If I want that to be my dinner, I can do that as long as it's somewhat nutritionally beneficial.
I am finding now that I'm single again, Mo, tell me if you do this, Abby, if you do this also. Do you guys ever eat over the sink?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Why
do you do that?
I don't know.
It's messy.
Yeah, it's messy. You don't have to use a dish or anything, so you just eat right over the sink.
I've never done that in my life.
I didn't do that when I was with somebody.
My husband and I have been together 17 years. He does that.
He does that.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, my next one.
Me crazy.
My next one is I have total control over my money. Something that gets me a little bit nervous about potentially getting in a serious relationship, like a marriage, is what happens when, you think about combining finances. Because I work, to me, the thought of using his money also to buy something freaks me out, and the thought of him using my money to buy something also kind of freaks me out. So I'm like, there's so much to figure out there, but I'm like, you know what? My disposable income is my disposable income, and I don't have to think about anybody else. It just gets to sit in my savings account. My next one is I have the space to be a hot mess. Right now, my apartment looks like a squatter lives there. I have an unpacked suitcase just chilling in the middle that my cat sometimes sits on, and you know what? I'm not going to move it because she likes being perched up there, and every time I walk in the door, that's where she sits, and I feel bad moving it because I feel like I'm like moving around her furniture. I also get to work on myself on the inside, so I don't have to hurt anybody else emotionally. So when I'm going through a hard time, I'm also not affecting anybody else.
That's deep.
I get to go to therapy and not hurt anybody. And my last one for this section is the future is a completely blank canvas. I could meet the love of my life today, which is so, I'm not going to, but the thought is exciting.
You gotta have some faith in yourself.
I could go to Publix and see a guy in the produce aisle and we could have a moment and that could be the start of our life together.
Both reach for the Brussels sprouts at the exact same time.
Girl, I ain't reaching for vegetables. we're going to be in the frozen food aisle looking for Ben and Jerry's.
Reach for the nuggies at the exact same time.
And we fall in love. So
All right, now that's just part one.
part 2. I think the first one of part 2 is going to be a little bit of a sore spot for people in relationships.
Okay.
The Bert Show.